And right now, I am talking with San Francisco 49ers fan, Jared Schablein. Jared, thank you so much for being a part of the show. I'm glad that you're able to take time out of your busy schedule to do it. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well. Again, thanks for having me. And, like you mentioned, 13-3 with three different quarterbacks, just how you draw it up to plan the whole time.
How long have you been a fan, and what made you become a 49ers fan?
So I'm a lifelong 49ers fan. Since I'm a younger 49ers fan, I kind of missed the Montana and Young days. But I really grew up with Vernon Davis, who most folks will know as a tight end at the University of Maryland. And I grew up loving Frank Gore, my absolute all-time favorite player. Made me fall in love with the game. Maybe fall in love with the 49ers.
What was your biggest memory as a 49ers fan? Was it the one Super Bowl against Baltimore? Was it the Super Bowl against Kansas City? Was it something else in between that?
Yeah, I tend to not remember tend not to focus on those games just because they were kind of heartbreaking. But I think of things like the catch part 3 in the playoffs against the Saints, the career of Frank Gore, just some of the rides that we had. Even this season has been pretty memorable. I did not expect Mr. Irrelevant to come in and lead us to a number 2 seed. So I have to say, this has probably been the biggest storybook year I've had.
And expectations coming into the season, it looked like that Trey Lance was going to have the mantle of the starting quarterback role, and Jimmy Garoppolo coming off of shoulder surgery and basically trying to find a way to get rid of him to show that this is Trey Lance's team and there is no whispers of a quarterback controversy. But, of course, the best laid plans go awry. But what were the expectations for you as a 49ers fan coming into this season?
Yeah, going into the season with Trey Lance, which I actually agreed with the decision, it was time to move on from Jimmy Garoppolo. I was expecting us to be a playoff team, with Trey being a rookie. I figured, it's going to take a couple years. When I look at Trey, I look at someone very similar to like a Josh Allen type. If you look at the first couple seasons of Josh Allen, there was some growing pains there. And I see Trey as a very similar quarterback, and I was expecting to go to the playoffs, but not go to the Super Bowl or anything. So that was kind of my expectation going in.
Was there a point in the season that you felt the Niners were going to be a lock for the playoffs?
I figured just given the team that we had kind of from the beginning, I expected us to win the NFC West. I mean, the Seattle Seahawks took a major step back. The Cardinals have always kind of, in my opinion, been frauds. I really think the Rams weren't as good as they were last year. I think they were very, very fortunate to beat us in the NFC Championship game and play who they did play in the Super Bowl. So I thought we were going to get in from the beginning, just of how the NFC West is.
Was there a point that there were any worries about the Niners making the playoffs? Was it that early rough start before they started going on that winning streak? Was there anything else that made you concerned? Was it the Garoppolo injury? Was it the Trey Lance injury?
It started with the Trey Lance injury, and then it started again with the Garoppolo injury. When Brock came in, I didn't know what to expect. I mean, there isn't a lot of historical precedence for Mr. Irrelevant quarterbacks, leading teams to victory. So it's good to be surprised once in a while.
Looking at the playoff matchups and seeing how they're already laying out, who do you feel that the Niners match up the best with in the NFC playoffs?
I feel with, just being how stacked we are with Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, we have one of the best defenses, I like to think, all time. I think we can really match up with any team. It really just comes down to just going out and executing and playing the football that we need to play. Brock doesn't need to be a superhero. I mean, if you look at Jimmy Garoppolo's playoff stats that led us to an NFC Championship game and a Super Bowl, they're actually historically some of the worst in playoff history. So we don't need a hero. We just need everyone to go out and do their job, and I think we can match up with anyone in the NFC and AFC.
Who in the NFC playoffs worries you? Is it Philadelphia? Is it Tampa Bay just because of Tom Brady magic? Is there somebody else that hasn't been mentioned that could give you a worry? Is it the Seahawks just because of how things happen in divisional games and the potential for matching up with them in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think you have to kind of take it one week at a time. My biggest concern right now is Seattle. It was a divisional. We swept our division this year, but I'm thinking back to last year. We swept the Rams, and that third time around in a divisional game, they were able to get one over on us. So I think the Seahawks are someone that you have to, take seriously because Gino's been playing out of his mind this year. They can win. I think you have to respect everyone in the NFC. I don't think there's any teams that's, laughable or shouldn't be there. I think every team has the capabilities of winning and going to the Super Bowl. So
if the Niners make it to the NFC Championship, what would be the dream matchup? Would it be a Dallas matchup? Would it be a Philly matchup? Would it be somebody else that you NFC bracket?
Well, I assume the answer whoever will beat is not acceptable, so I'll go ahead and say probably Dallas. We were able to match up well with them last year, and I know they kind of have some consistency issues. The Commanders gave them all that they could handle and then some last week, and we kind of dispatched them pretty easily when we played.
I know also looking at the acquisition of Christian McCaffrey from Carolina, that seemed like a lot of people were saying that's a lot to give up for a running back who's off injured, especially at the time where the Niners were statistically. But it seemed like it's a gamble that paid off, especially replacing guys like Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson and all those other guys. To you, what were your thoughts initially on the trade for McCaffrey?
Yeah, I figured he was one of those players that if anyone could maximize his potential, it was Kyle Shanahan. We have a wide receiver who plays running back in Deebo Samuel. Christian McCaffrey is a running back who can play wide receiver. So I actually kind of see a lot of similarities in Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey's style of play. So I think he's just in the right system. He's back home. He went to Stanford. His father was a 49ers 49er player. He won a Super Bowl with us. So I just think it made sense, and I was glad to see the Niners actually make a big acquisition. I think we're sometimes too cautious as a franchise in my lifetime. So it was good that we went out there and got a piece that hopefully will put us over the top.
Just looking at Brock Purdy, especially coming out playing like gangbusters after the Jimmy G injury, if by chance Purdy gets the Niners, is there another quarterback controversy now, this time Trey Lance and Brock Purdy?
Well, I mean, I'd like to worry about now, but my view is if he can, the only way there's a controversy is if he wins the Super Bowl this year, which I'm rooting for. I am all for quarterback controversy because that means we won the Super Bowl, and that is something. I was actually born in 1998, so I've never seen the Niners win a Super Bowl. If that's what it takes to see the Niners win a Super Bowl, then I am all for quarterback controversy. But it's a blessing to have two good young quarterbacks, and I'm sure Kyle Shanahan's a offensive mastermind. He'll figure it out when that time comes.
Speaking of Kyle Shanahan, would you say this is probably the best coaching job he's done in his role as head coach of the 49ers?
Yeah, I think, the jury's still out, depending if he can make a Super Bowl like he did in 2019. But I would say this was definitely a masterclass year. We looked dead to rights. We had our starting quarterback come down. Then Jimmy came in and was Jimmy. Then he went down and he took a last pick in the draft. And made him look like one of the league's best quarterbacks, at least in these last couple of weeks. So I think he should be coach of the year by far. I don't see many other coaches, having two quarterbacks go down, not just one, and being the second seed and have a real shot of making and winning a Super Bowl.
Does this give John Lynch Executive of the Year at least nods? Because not only the trade for McCaffrey, the gutsy move, getting Deebo signed because of his unhappiness following all the boom of the wide receivers getting paid, but then picking the Mr. Irrelevant and him basically plugging and playing in that offense and leading them to the number 2 seed.
I mean, that would make sense to me. I mean, the one thing that's kind of shocked me is Christian McCaffrey is not a Pro Bowler or an All-Pro, so I don't know how that ended up working out. But yeah, I would say so, and I guess, I don't know, some folks might say I'm biased, but I think the moves that he made has put us in position to not only win this year, but we've been a team that have been, one of the premier teams in the NFC for a few years now. I think that deserves some recognition.
Going on to the Super Bowl prediction, who do you have coming out of the NFC? Who do you have coming out of the AFC? Who wins the game, and what's the final score?
I don't see anyone in the AFC beating the Chiefs. I actually don't think it's going to be a close. I just think the Chiefs are going to walk into the Super Bowl. It's the AFC's theirs to lose. I'm going to stick with the Niners. I think we're really hot right now. And if we keep playing our brand of football, we can make it to the Super Bowl. And I think we have a better shot of matching up and beating the Chiefs this time than we did in 2019. I remember the interviews before the game, and I think it was Frank Clark of the Chiefs in 2019. He was like, all we have to do is stack the box. Jimmy Garoppolo can't win. Like, they were pretty much celebrating the Super Bowl victory before the game, and, we saw what happened in 2019, so I'd like to see some revenge. I would say 49ers over the Chiefs.
And everybody's sort of – and I look at the other options in the AFC, I'm like, well, you think, Buffalo's now team of destiny because of everything that's been going on and how they might, if some chance that DeMar Hamlin shows up at a big playoff game and if by chance they meet up with Cincinnati in a playoff game in Buffalo, that's going to be that could be or at a neutral site, that could be potentially a game that could be a momentum booster and all those things. And I know it looks like the AFC might be a little more so stacked than the NFC.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of juggernauts there. It would be real nice if the Dolphins or the Bengals can get through the Super Bowl. I feel like that would give us an easier matchup. But I just don't see, I've seen Patrick Mahomes do special things, and I just don't see him getting beat. I'll say 34-31 in a shootout.
Always going to come down to a field goal. It feels like that's the new trend, field goals winning the game. But, Jared, I really appreciate you being a part of the podcast. Before we wrap this up, wondering if you had any shout-outs you wanted to give and what are ways people can reach out to you on social media to discuss 49er football and other things.
Yeah, I definitely want to shout out a couple of the 49ers groups I kind of follow. Niners Nation, of course. The 49ers have been, at least on Twitter, have been a great collective groups of a lot of people from all over the country. Who've just been supportive both with football and just in life in general. If you're interested in hearing what some might think are my terrible football takes, you can find me at Wiccomico, WICOMICO_Jared on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, any social media. Feel free to swing on by and say hi or tell me my takes are terrible or the best thing you ever heard. I'm definitely always looking for a conversation.